Here we go.
All right, you gonna hit it?
You want to start with the music?
This feels like our podcast.
Sure.
This is great.
This is how we start podcasts most of the time.
Takes about an hour.
Takes about an hour to get. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the San Diego Library for the Secondary Heroes Podcast panel at SDCC 2019. Trevor, take it away. Once the music stops.
Excellent. Everyone, hopefully you're here to understand and figure out how to start a pop culture podcast, because that's what this is all about. Essentially, we are the Secondary Heroes, and we got started essentially in March of this year. And we have a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, so we must be doing something right. We don't have big brand recognition. We don't have all kinds of celebrity guests and all that kind of cool stuff. We're just four random guys getting together talking about pop culture stuff, and it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, we've been having a blast with it, and we've met a lot of people through podcasting and stuff like that. The networking part is the best because you get to reach out and talk to people. I mean, we've met, too many people at this point. I'm already looking at half the people that we've met just through the podcast. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I would say we had some celebrities on our show. I don't know. Yeah, in my opinion,
It depends.
Yeah, it depends where you can find as a celebrity. Yes, but I would say we did.
So where should we start?
Should we say who we are?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, so this is your host, Trevor, and joining me is...
Hey guys, it's Prague.
This is Josh.
And usually singing at the beginning of every podcast is me. Well, and Prague. Oh, and I'm DeLorean Wolfgang or Alexander Wolfgang.
Yeah, sometimes we do.
I got a badge right here, guys. It's awesome.
So... how did we meet? How did we, us four guys out of the blue?
I'll take this.
You want to take this, Josh?
I'll take this one. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Josh is going to lead the way.
All right, so probably about a year ago, SDCC last year, we've met through Funko. I mean, because we went to Fun Days, and through that, we honestly there, we didn't know anybody. We didn't know that we knew each other. I mean, I saw him, and he says, "Oh, I didn't know you were there." And I said, "Oh, I saw Trevor." He says, "I didn't know you were there." We interacted because obviously they're all dressed up, so I can remember their faces at the moment. So our good friend Sully, he would do live streams of gaming, and through that he would just, we would interact with everybody there, and we were thinking, hey, he's playing games, let's play too. I mean, I want to get into that. I mean, sometimes because he has his set already, which is we never got invited. I don't know why, but so through that we kind of built that relationship, and as we kept on talking. I remember it was Trevor or Dan that was saying, you know what, we should do a podcast. And it was like, okay, we'll try that. I mean, I don't know who would want to listen to us, but eventually some people like listening to us, so that's pretty good.
Well, and that's the funny thing is, when you're sitting there playing video games with each other the whole time, and you're BSing the whole time, and really that BSing is like, hey, why don't we just record it?
Yeah, a lot of the banter is funny. And
the banter is always fun. Let's record it. Why not? And so we ended up turning it into something, and now here we are doing a panel at Comic-Con, so this is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we started playing Fortnite, and I mean, obviously that's for little kids, but we didn't care. We were still playing it anyways, so.
Well, I think the whole point was that we are not very good at playing video games. And, we just wanted to play something that was fun. I mean, it was a game that you could just be silly in, and there's a bunch of random fun stuff to do in that game and dress up as, and we're kind of into that stuff, pop culture fun. That's why we like Funko as well.
And it gives you a lot of time to talk when you're in the loading screen constantly because you're dying continuously.
Because you're dying all the time, yes.
But yeah, so, are we going into the name part? Because I don't know if everybody knows how we got the name.
Yeah, I mean, shared interest kind of covers that, so we'll go.
Okay, cool.
Name is actually a super difficult thing. If you're trying to start a pop culture podcast, we probably went through 150 different names, because you first have to look, is it already a podcast on iTunes? Is there a web address? Do Twitter handles already have it? And so that crossed off more than half. And then, of course, there's the sound of it. One of the names we were going to come up with was called Nothing But Commons, because it was specifically for Fortnite, because in the game, all we found were common weapons. And that was super niche, so we had to generalize it because, of course, we wanted to talk about everything. We could have done, we're going to do a Marvel podcast or a Star Wars podcast. We're doing everything under the sun because we're insane. But that gives you a lot of potential things to talk about. Every single week, there's always something new to talk about. And so probably the most popular thing in pop culture right now are superheroes, and that's how we stuck on this hero idea. And with Fortnite, we're always finishing in second place. We never can get that first place victory, so Secondary heroes.
Secondary heroes, that's how it happened, man. And honestly, it stuck. We had a lot of friends who actually, like one of our friends, Julie, who actually created our logo.
She'll be here soon.
Oh yeah, she'll probably be coming in soon. She created our logo, and that was one of the networking parts is, having that right person to help us with the logo, help us, create that name to make the name stick even better, because Nothing But Comments, we thought it sounded cool at the time, but who would think that we would be here if we were known as Nothing But Comments?
Right.
Right.
But I also think, too, that not just the podcast, but we do other stuff outside the podcast. Like the game streaming really helps build the community because it's live all the time. And that's how we met a lot of these people and built those relationships. And like, hey, we know someone that is really good at drawing and designing. So we should probably have that person help us with the logo and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so this kind of goes back onto it, but mainly the idea is that you want to go, if you're going to do a podcast, you want to go with people you actually have a rapport with. You don't want to be like talking and the other people don't pick up on the cues when you're done speaking and kind of are ready to jump in.
Then why did we get together and do this?
Fair.
Well, that's an interesting thing, though. For people that might not know, we don't live in the same city or even the same vicinity. They all live in California and I live in Texas, so we never really got. This is like actually the first time we've actually been in the same room together. So, like I said, rapport. We built that over our social media, going back and forth with each other, just interaction as that. And through that, we kind of saw that, I feel that we can mesh together pretty well, and we've done this.
Well, and it really works. I mean, obviously you couldn't do this probably 10, 20 years ago, but like now we've got Skype. Anybody can start this stuff. Anybody can jump onto Skype, meet up with people, like for instance, like Josh. Josh is in Texas, we got Oakland and LA, and I'm in San Diego. So having us all being for everywhere else, having Skype is like one of the best ways that we're able to link up together, see each other, so we know cues. When one person stops talking, we know that he's gonna stop. When we first started, we used to give a lot of hand signals. We would put our thumbs up or do like this or make a lot of hand signals so we knew who was gonna be able to talk next. I mean, granted, that doesn't always work with us because we're always talking over each other anyways, but that's what makes it fun. We try to keep it like really just real. So.
Yeah, and then differing opinions is key because if everyone's like, oh, I agree. It's good when I can say that Game of Thrones sucks and Prague is super
into it or something, I guess.
When I say
Trevor
something
thinks
like that,
everything sucks, by the way.
Great.
He does. But no, it works out well because if everyone's agreeing, all you say is, yeah, I agree. And that's the podcast.
That's not a podcast.
Really boring. Because you can really dig in deeper into why you don't agree with it. Be like, well, I really thought that character's performance was spectacular because they did this scene. Like, well, I thought they offered nothing to the season. So I think it really helps build out and fill out your podcast better.
So having like a strong opinion definitely helps. So if you've got yourself a strong, like Trevor probably has the strongest because he either really, really loves something or he really, really hates it.
He's
so
a passionate
it's really
individual, I would say.
But he's very he knows how to say the reasons why he doesn't like something, or and we all really bounce off of each other really well on that part.
Yeah, and I mean, use your assets. If you have some kind of knowledge in something, we try to use that in the podcast as well to fill up the time. If you're saying, well, I didn't think the writing was good this season, why? And you can, try to go explain why if you, used to write, like I used to. I've written screenplays. I know how it's supposed to be structured, and I know when a writer is lazy. I know when they show don't tell, those kind of things.
You mean like season 8 of Game of Thrones?
Yes.
Ooh, lazy writing.
Yeah, we really like our hot takes on.
We need hotter takes than that. That's too easy.
That was a too easy one. The hot take, I guess.
I like having this behind us. This is pretty neat.
Yeah, differing opinions is fun too or at least distinct personalities, because like Josh will not say much at all, and DeLorean won't shut up. And having that juxtaposition is really outstanding.
Let me talk for a second, Trevor.
Poor Josh.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just like to listen, though. I mean, because I want to see what you are doing. I'm putting more, how do you call it, tactical about my approach and my...
Tactical, I like it.
Tactical podcasting.
Nice, wow.
I like it.
I never looked at it that way.
Yeah.
He's like
I thought you were just shy.
No, I'm not shy at all.
And so I guess setup equipment's important because when you first start, you're going to all have dead air. It's going to be like seconds. You don't know. We've kind of hinted at it of the signs and the visual cues and all that, but don't start episode 1. You've never done a podcast before. It's going to be absolutely horrible. So that first week we did one, and we never aired it or anything. I should find it, but...
Oh, really?
Wait, we did? I don't remember that.
So by the time we got to episode 1, it was definitely better than the practice. But practice run is absolutely essential. And then once you get to that first episode, you're going to get better every week. So don't be like, oh my God, that didn't sound that good. Because you'll figure it out as you go.
Absolutely. And when we first started, when we decided to make this idea, we actually started reaching out to other podcasts. And we reached out to our good buddy Sully. And he gave us a really good pointer on recording multiple episodes in 1 week just to kind of get them all out there.
Yeah, before we started
You know, right once we knew that we had something good, after that practice episode, we got all those jitters out. We recorded like 3 in like 3 days. Yeah. And we just pretty much spammed iTunes and SoundCloud with them.
And it worked.
It totally worked.
So shout out to Nerd Foo. That was some good advice.
Nerd Foo. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually got featured on iTunes. I don't know if it was that strategy. I don't know what it necessarily was, but we got featured on iTunes.
On the front page. It was great. Yeah, it was kind of exciting.
You want to publish to all those different platforms, but just having your podcast on a platform doesn't help. You know, you need actually people to find it who aren't just your friends. Or friends are absolutely essential, but you need to kind of branch out to other people.
Yeah, networking is really key early on, especially having those friends and building those relationships with people so that they can also tell their people. And broadcast that as far and wide as you can on different platforms.
And then probably the most important aspect of podcasting is editing. And you need somebody who's familiar with editing, because if you don't, it's going to suck. Luckily, I've edited a podcast before, because these 3 guys are like, here's my audio clips, have fun. I'm going to bed. Yep. And so, essentially, if you have a Windows computer, you want to use Audacity, it's free to use. But if you have a Mac, it's definitely preferred. You can use GarageBand, and this is our latest Stranger Things episode. And essentially, it's just a bunch of little clips I have to cut and rearrange because you have cool things, for example, like this.
Hello, everyone.
Who is that singing?
Because originally, we had this cool piece where Prague was out here.
Never-ending story.
We had DeLorean jump in.
Never-ending story.
That's worse than Dusty Bun. Oh
Don't listen to us anymore. We're done.
We're sorry.
This is over.
That was awful.
We're disbanding. This is after hearing that in this auditorium,
You just
it sounds
destroyed
awful.
Stranger Things Season 3 for me. Thanks.
And so it's all about getting everything lined up, perfection, and it takes a while. Because somehow in this last episode, also on my track, I forgot to introduce our name of the actual podcast.
Almost like today.
So that is super cool.
Everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of the Secondary Heroes podcast. It's our Stranger Things Season 3.
You can't even tell that I recorded it in a hotel room the day I had to record because I completely forgot to edit it in. So it just, GarageBand is super easy to use because...
Wasn't that here on Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday in a hotel room.
Yeah, it's seconds before we had to leave.
And then also GarageBand lets you edit each individual audio file. So Josh might be at a lower level than us, and DeLorean might be at a higher level, and so I have to balance it out.
Usually that's about true, yeah.
I have it at a pretty good level, but you want to make sure that everyone's audio sounds about the same level, because if you can't barely hear Josh, and then DeLorean's talking over everyone, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So Mac GarageBand is definitely a recommendation if you're getting into podcasting.
Yeah, there you go.
Should we talk about hardware? Or is that next?
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, getting a good microphone is key. Obviously, I went the cheap route on some of our first episodes, and I went onto Amazon and found like a $25 microphone. Turns out it sounded like garbage. So if you were to go back and listen to our week 1 and 2, it sounds really bad. These guys sound nice, crystal clear, and I'm just...
I always sound nice.
So then I went out and I got a Snowball. And actually, the Snowball isn't the best or anything, but you know what? It
works
captures
well.
really nice sound, and
it's affordable.
now
too.
we all sound good. So definitely look into... I would say Snowball. It's a nice, cheap... It's cheaper, but it's not the cheapest or anything like that, and it's got great quality.
It's
so
great
definitely
entry
look
level,
into
too.
Snowballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, entry level, because essentially podcasting, you don't know how this is going to work, so it's not like, oh, I'm going to get this $500 microphone and then you'll never use it again.
Yeah.
So
Exactly,
balance
yeah.
it as best you can.
Right.
Because then if it does pick off, you then can get a big, heavy-duty microphone.
Yeah, maybe one day we'll get there.
That's like next week, right?
Oh. Well, let's see how this panel goes.
And so another key point of any podcast, I think, is the first 2 minutes, because that's going to hook people. So that's why, essentially, at the very start, we had pretty boring, like, hello, this is the Secondary Heroes podcast. And then we started quoting essentially what's hot. We had, like, a Thanos quote with Endgame. And then when the Rise of Skywalker trailer, Prague did a great Emperor impression.
Oh, do your Palpatine laugh.
Well, how did
Just
they
the
do
laugh.
You got it. I believe in you. I believe in you, Prague.
Can I do this?
Use the Force, Prague.
Oh, God.
That was pretty good. You gotta get nasalier.
I'm not nasally now.
Give it up for Prague.
And then
I guess. I don't know.
somehow we got into singing intros, and more and more people.
good
Like we
Lord.
met a few people that we've never seen before this week, and they essentially their one suggestion was more singing. So I guess it's picked up.
Yeah, I
hope
don't
you're
know
ready,
why.
Alex.
I don't
hope
know
you're
why
ready.
because it's terrible singing. And usually what we do is we'll go into, like, we'll find, like, for instance, that was our Stranger Things, so the Neverending Story song was hot. And that was probably our first episode where we didn't change the lyrics to fit in second place, secondary heroes, or heroes. We just actually sang the song.
Probably because it was hard enough just to sing it. I
Oh
think
my
we were trying
God,
to time
I
it
know,
right.
it was
wasn't
terrible
working out
too after
well.
listening to it right now. So, so yeah, what we did was, we don't do it quite right, but yeah, we'll spend about an hour trying to figure out how to figure out that first 2 minutes, and then we just riff the rest of the time. So that first 2 minutes is really tough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we planned that for like almost an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Before
like
we sit
we'll
down.
all get it on. Okay, we're gonna be on at 7:30, and now all of a sudden it's 8:30. Okay, guys, I think we're ready.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh wait, what are we doing again? We get a lot of that.
Oh
before it
yeah,
starts.
yeah. Are we
So
talking
having
Stranger
that prep
Things?
time helps.
And so this is very specific, but essentially you want a soundtrack to go with you, and you can buy people's make general music. You can go to Kevin MacLeod and use free music, or you can make your own. And this goes back to GarageBand. I actually made our intro music on an iPad in GarageBand, just tapping different instruments, and they have pretty good auto ability to play violins and drums and guitars, and that's how our whole thing came. You need a little synthy vibe. So experiment. You need some kind of audio track to make the podcast distinctly your own. So the first few notes, people are like, we're listening to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And how did we get ours?
And honestly, like the song that Trevor came up with, he actually came up with it like right after we came up with the name. He made that song, and that song really is stuck. It's really, and it fits our personality because it's quirky, it's synthy, it's, you know, it's all over the place, and that's kind of how we are. We're just all over the place.
And that was your first take, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, yeah, I think it was because I remember we were
wow.
talking. We were listening to different ones, and we're like, "This doesn't quite fit. This one's too space age.
You
This
would
is too
find
something."
ones like online, like here's this one's $15.
Yeah.
It's
so we
almost
get
too
this
specific too.
Yeah.
I feel like some were like, "Oh, this is definitely fantasy only. This is definitely superhero."
Right, or
only."
like super like 8-bit.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
bing bonk, bing bonk.
So I think
Yeah.
Trevor did a really good
We're
job.
glad we didn't go with the bing bonks,
that.
by the way.
Yeah.
And then one other thing probably is that once you get your core group together, you want to stick to a schedule. Every Monday at 7:30 for the foreseeable future, make yourself available. Because if you try to adjust times, it really messes things. So once you understand this is a long-term commitment, it helps all the people always be on the same page.
Yeah. It's
I
nice
should write
you
that
were-
down. Long-term commitment.
And it's nice to have someone on your team too who's like really on it. And Trevor does a really great job of like making sure that we are on schedule. Like, hey guys, remember this is Monday's coming up. We got to think about what we're doing. Make sure that we actually are all gonna be ready and we know what the topic is, and we plan ahead of time and we watch whatever is happening so that we can talk about
watch
something.
whatever's happening, right? You guys
Yeah,
are
oh.
excellent at that.
Oh,
I just saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Oh, Far From Home's out now.
So that
Well, and that
helps.
whole 1 hour before we start recording, the whole trying to figure out lyrics and stuff, Trevor will tell us like a week before, okay, start thinking about next week's song. And then we get in there and we're like, well, we didn't really think of a song yet.
Yeah.
And then
Prep
also, we were pretty lucky that we got around doing this like late March, early April, and it's just perfect pop culture time. This is one of the biggest pop culture sequences ever with the release of Game of Thrones Season 8 and Avengers Endgame. And so that just, we really, when we did our Avengers Endgame preview, that when we got the big spike, and then the review and all that is, because then we did Game of Thrones weekly. So
Yes.
episode 1, we had a whole podcast. Somehow we talked an hour about each episode.
And that was in addition to our main podcast. We
Yeah.
were doing 2 a week at that
Yeah,
point.
2 a week was fun though. I
fun.
kind of wish we would have done Stranger Things that way. Stranger Things would have been, but if people didn't binge watch Stranger Things, it would have been. Anyways, yeah.
That's the new culture.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but yeah, it worked really well that way for that.
And then you already covered 3 episodes to start because you're cool like that. And I didn't show. So this also goes into planning. Like our first 5 episodes, I would make an outline where there's like 5 sections and bullet points below. And then last week we had Spider-Man: Far From Home. That was the outline. And then this week we had Stranger Things season 3. So outlines can change. You want to have kind of. It was almost crutches at the start that we need to get to these certain points through the thing, and now we can talk an hour about.
Yeah, I think
anything.
It felt too stagnant too when you have like too tight of a structure. You're like, okay, now we're going to talk about collectibles, and now we're talking about a movie, and now we're talking about this, and yeah, it doesn't really have that same flow. I think I don't think we vibe off each other as well when we are more open about it. I mean, as long as we know what the topic is and we researched it beforehand.
Yeah, you never know where it's going to go. Yeah. Like, we're talking about Stranger Things, and it's like, we're on to episode 6 or whatever, and Alex is like talking about some in episode 8, but it still works. We'll just flow through. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then spreading the word is probably the biggest thing, and I think guesting on other people's podcasts and having guests on your podcast is the most important thing.
Cross those streams.
Yeah, cross the streams.
Networking. Network. Network. That's, I mean, just talk to anybody and everybody, about it. Tell them about it, try and get them to share it on their pages and stuff like that. Anything. I mean, even if your friend has 50 followers, that means that 50 people have potentially a view on your podcast. So
yeah, just like Alex is saying, though, you use what you have right now and then build upon that, because you want to try to build it from just like, I'm going to throw it to just random people, but you never know. Your friends, like you said, they have whatever amount of followers. Well, those will catch. We found out today that we gained a follower. I mean, this is just a small example. We gained a follower just because one of our friends retweeted our podcast, and it's just good to hear those stories, because you never know how those things are going to work out. It's just, like I said,
I also think it helps to go to conventions like this, too. You're able to network here with people that are in the industry who can help you, and they want to help you. Like, it's surprising how many people out there really do want to help other people. That's what's great about working.
Yeah, that's probably what I learned the most.
Like pop culture.
Yeah, you'd think they would all be siloed off, and the more people you talk to, the more they're like, oh yeah,
like,
they got tips ready for you and everything.
Because it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. Podcasting is really fun, I think. It's a great way to meet new people and talk about what you love.
And then giveaways are fun, because that gets a whole bunch of people involved.
And it helps.
Oh, it
really
helps
does.
Tremendously.
It helps. You might have some winners in the audience, too.
Yeah, giveaways are huge, because all you got to do with that is you say retweet, like, and what's the big one? Do a review.
Yes.
You get a review, and the reviews are stellar. I mean, that is how we can get the iTunes, where iTunes is starting to recognize you and start putting you higher on their list of podcasts. Because, I mean, everybody's got a podcast, but to be recognized is the big one. And when, like Trevor said earlier, we were recognized really early on, which was great. And I think it was because we got a lot of reviews really early. And those reviews definitely help. So as many reviews that you can get through those giveaways or whatever, do it. Because that's awesome.
Yeah. Giveaways are probably the second best investment after microphone.
The secondary hero.
Do we have giveaways today?
We might have a giveaway.
We might have a giveaway today?
Stay tuned.
Oh, it's stay tuned.
Spoilers!
Spoiler warning. And then probably the best part of this whole experience is that, like Josh said at the start, we met at Comic-Con last year, and we didn't really know each other. And then full circle, we actually have a panel at Comic-Con this year.
Crazy. Close your mind.
Hey, stop that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, appreciate it.
And then, of course, friendships. Friendships are probably the most important thing you could possibly get, right, Alex?
Friendships. There are wood ships, there are steam ships, but there are no ships like friendships. Right. I'll tell you that much. That's the best.
Yeah, I think we've been fortunate enough to have really good friends in different industries. We've been using the same person over and over again, but shout out to Sully. He's been a real good help and a very good supporter of what we do.
Yeah,
and he's just an example of, with that type of friendship, it helps us to obviously have somebody to counsel us as we go through this, but also to when we want to bring him on to talk about his expertise in collectibles or gaming or whatever it is that he wants to talk about, we can bring him on. And then like that, we just build those relationships with people that we know and that people like at these cons or whatever we do, even through our daily lives, through work or anything like that, to bring them on to say, hey, share your expertise. Because you never know. Somebody might want to hear that, and it'll help them, whatever they're doing, or even starting a podcast themselves.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because that's essentially, we want everyone to feel like they're part of the Secondary Heroes, or at least our main core friends. When they're putting us out there, when we do well, it's kind of our whole group pushing it forward, because we can only push so much ourselves. We have hardly any social influence. That's kind of the surprising thing about having a panel. And
I'm socially awkward.
And so any friendships can definitely help. And special shout out to Julie Yeet Grimes.
Julie!
Right there.
Our awesome logo right there in the top right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
She designed that. It's perfect. It's on the shirts.
Yeah.
It's great. And then
my
custom
zipper's
pops.
What?
So we know someone who designs custom Funko Pops, and she helped us actually design a Freddy Funko, who's the mascot of Funko, as from the Secondary Heroes logo combined together. And
We haven't seen this one yet.
we have one to give away to someone in the audience. So it's just about knowing the right people to help you to kind of do that and just help you. Actually, yeah.
And
This is the
unfortunately,
first time I'm seeing this, so this looks beautiful.
but
man.
huge shout out to Christina and Damien. Damien does the box artwork here, so there's it goes all the way around.
Oh, yeah.
They couldn't be here. They actually had to man a booth right now. They were going to try to get here if they could, but unfortunately they were stuck doing that. So huge shout out to them. I know they're going to be here tonight, but hopefully they can watch the recording later.
Yeah, and you can follow at CC Customs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Yeet Grimes
Yeah,
for the
at Yeet
logo.
Grimes.
If you need any kind of designs, look her up. She's great at it. Yeah.
And then a lot of people here we know, so I do want to give a special shout out to Night Bodega, Cheesemo, Real Ben Feldman, SD Comic Con Dad, Angry Nate, MC, Austin, Gary Lee, Clint
Pop
Crockett,
fanboy.
Sully.
By the way, this crowd is that big because we brought all of our friends.
No, that's what we do. We appreciate our friends because
Yes.
obviously they help us get through each experience that we go through because it makes
Yeah.
it easy for us. you know?
Yeah, it's super comfortable when you got friends.
And it's really good to have honest friends too, because what they'll do is they'll actually tell you what kind of sucks.
And you want that. You want
Yeah,
the
you want
honest
because you want to
feedback.
build on it. And like for myself, I don't know about you guys, but I actually listen to our podcast after we release it. I listen to it on SoundCloud. I also listen to it on iTunes because
Just to pump those numbers up.
not just to pump the numbers up. Of course, you want to pump the numbers up, but I also want to see where we can get better too. So if you listen to your podcast after you record it, it's good because then you can go, okay, well, I'm noticing that I'm saying a lot, or I say like too much, or interesting.
Or interesting.
We said interesting about 25 times within a 5-minute range, and we had to learn, we're saying these words far too much. So listen to your podcast afterwards. So we changed it to interessante.
And so that's kind of the tips and all that. So really, what does that all mean? All those different kind of things? Well, it all adds up to go a little bit something like this. And so this is our normal podcast. Essentially, we start with simple stuff. I go 3, 2, 1, go, and we're all ready to go.
And why do we do that?
This is essentially going to be what we would talk about for our next podcast, our experiences at San Diego Comic-Con 2019. Guys, what do you think was our big takeaway so far from this week?
Oh, man, that's a tough one.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the biggest takeaway would be.
I don't know. A panel seems pretty cool.
No,
that was
this is legit. I mean, fantastic. This is a dream come true for me that I get to finally take home something like this.
Absolutely.
Is amazing
Yeah.
to me. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah. Well, and this.
Oh,
This
too,
is
yeah.
too.
And next year we will be in Hall H.
Yes,
So
Hall
Yeah.
H, you could see.
So stay tuned. But yeah, like last night we were at Fun Days. That was a highlight
Fun
for
Days?
that
sure.
was kind of
Fun
cool.
Days.
Fun
That
Days?
was-
What is this?
Funko Fun Days.
explain
Have you not
this.
heard this?
Explain it to us.
You should check it out sometime, man. Nah, you were there, I think. It was a big party.
So every year Funko puts on a big party for their fans, their fanatics. It's fantastic. It's just hours of food and special guests and prizes and All sorts of fun
And
stuff.
last night's special guest was Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill, that was pretty cool.
Big Luke Skywalker himself. That was a pretty big deal for all of us.
And it's tough to meet that guy, so the fact that we all got to
That's
see
the
him
rumors.
was amazing.
No, but I mean, Fun Days was absolutely amazing because you have that whole Mark Hamill sequence, and then Funko does special giveaways where you're sitting at a certain table, and all of a sudden that table gets a special limited item.
Oh my
And
God.
so we kind of tried to plan it out. We're like, this is the 21st year of Funko. Let's try to get at table 21. And we get up to the front, and Josh is like, oh, can we sit at table 21? And Lay's like,
That's whatever's next.
how about
right?
here's 19?
like,
And
okay.
so somehow it's 2019.
It's like,
and
oh, yeah,
Funko
duh.
picked 19 as the special table.
We weren't even thinking that. We're like, no,
Didn't
definitely
think it
pick
at all.
20
Didn't think that at
or
all.
whatever,
We were thinking
21.
either table 50 or table
21.
19, yeah. Or
Yeah.
table 20.
21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
21, 20.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and so we got a gold
I'm
Luke
nervous.
Skywalker. There's only 80 of them ever produced. And cool thing was that our friend Tanner,
Shout out to Tanner.
Tanner,
Hedges.
right there.
he was sitting at our table and we got the Lukes and he's like, oh, this made my night. This night can't be any better.
Yeah, you can't top that, right? You can't top meeting Luke Skywalker and getting that pop.
And it turns out that he designed a entry to a contest. Funko's going to pick like their next design, and he was one of the finalists. And we got to essentially know that there was 3 finalists. They announced number 3. They announced number 2, and we know what that meant because they didn't pick Tanner. And so
Yeah, I
we just
know, like,
went
what else is
absolutely
left?
insane. Tanner won the contest, and it was like the best moment of the night. You know, we
Oh,
met
there it
Martin
is,
Hamill,
yeah.
we got these special pops, but Tanner winning was absolutely amazing because of the friendships we're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, and we met Tanner through Fortnite and stuff
Fortnite.
like that, and who would have thought
Yes.
that it would have turned into, something like this?
And it was so cool because they made one for him.
Oh, yeah. That
Which
was
was
right. Yeah, they made one, and it
phenomenal.
looks good, too. It's sharp.
Yeah.
I already told him I'm going to buy half of them.
It's like one of the rarest protos ever, I think.
I'm going to need him to sign them, too, Tanner. Be ready to sign a
All
lot.
36.
They're going on eBay.
Yeah, I would say that was the highlight. But I think that brings us back to the point we were making about the podcast is building those friendships, those relationships really help. I mean, having the podcast is fun, but having those relationships because of the podcast is even better, in my opinion.
Yeah, last year we went to, or a few of us went to Fun Days. We barely saw each other. We didn't really interact at all.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I sat at a table where I knew like 2 other people, and yesterday we had like 40 people.
Yeah,
All in
our
this
section
whole
that we
thing.
all
Actually,
knew.
I think just about this whole group right here.
I mean,
About like-
Yeah, there's one group there.
1 year goes quick.
It does, and we all just went nuts with it for whenever a table won that we knew because we're all friends.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
make it so much, I guess, interesting going through anything you go through. Like I said, we go to cons all the time, so I used to go by myself all the time, so now I have any one of these guys that are willing to go over there and meet me or anybody out here. It makes it a lot more better. I mean, like I said, this year is probably the best con that I've ever gone to. And just
Absolutely.
because now I have people
Yeah,
tagging
no
along with me, because last year I was just walking around by myself, not knowing where I was going. But now I have, each and every one of these guys here to, we have something to do.
So start a podcast because you'll have someone to go to the cons with.
Exactly.
Yes.
Biggest takeaway.
What else did you guys see? That was
Yeah.
fun. Any panels? Anything else?
I haven't seen any panels. I always bring my DeLorean around, so I get lots of pictures
always fun,
taken
yeah.
in my DeLorean.
That was pretty fun yesterday because I know you're such an attention whore, and we're driving through the town, man, and people just all
Hey,
have
if
their
we're not
phones
making
out.
fun of Prague being old, we can make fun of me being an attention whore. It's okay. I do like it.
Yeah, it's always fun having a DeLorean to walk around with, or drive around with.
But yeah, the line for Fun Days. Yeah, I drove up and down the line for Fun Days, and people were hooting and hollering. That's always a blast. So I got some attention. So that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another fun thing that a few of us got to do is we got to go to Kroenung because Coach JD, shout out to Coach JD back there, taking pictures. He had some extra tickets, and he's like, "Do you want to go to Kroenung? It's a special guest. We don't know who's going to be." Like, sure. Who knows? It might be a big one. It might be nobody. Who knows?
Did
right?
you see Tom Cruise?
We saw Tom Cruise.
Oh man, I want to.
Never in a million
Tom
years
Cruise.
would I think Tom Cruise would be a special guest. Now we get to see him live.
That's
that was
awesome.
crazy.
It was awesome because essentially Conan asked him, "What's your most memorable quote or anything like that?" And he's like, "Because you have so many. Some people have like a catchphrase." And Conan suggests a few, and all of a sudden, we in the back, some guy says it really quietly, "Show me the money," and then me and Prague yell it out. The entire audience is absolutely silent. So I'm sure, because he says it right back as soon as we do.
Yeah,
it was like
awesome.
the Keanu Reeves, you're breathtaking.
So hopefully I didn't watch the episode, I don't know when it's going to air, but hopefully we're on, they cut our
I
audio.
hope you can hear us in the back, because we're in the very back, the last row of the theater in the very top.
Show me the money.
Oh,
But yeah, also when he swore, that was pretty funny. She's like,
Yeah, the Les Grossman Tropic Thunder.
he's like, am I allowed to swear on this show? He's like, Conan's like, you just bleep it out. And he did it. He nailed that. He was yelling it. It was hilarious to listen to him swear. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, but we can't do that, so.
So we
Yeah,
can-
yeah. It says on the back of
It
here
tells
we
us
have
here
members
that we're
under
not allowed-
18, so
and we're
we
not
can't say
famous enough to
potty
just let that
words.
happen. So let that fly, like some people. So.
And then,
And
of
Trevor
course-
doesn't have the way to edit live yet, so
Not yet.
once he's able to edit live, then we'll swear it all up.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I should. What other panels there's? I think there was a Funcast panel we went to. That's a lot of
Funcast
panels.
panel.
A lot of fun too.
Sadly, I was working.
What was also cool is that was their first year that they were able to do a panel here. So it was awesome for us to have our 2 year first times this year.
Yeah, that was a
That's
great
neat.
experience.
A lot of our friends went to that one too.
Yeah, sadly, because I live in San Diego, I didn't take that day off, and I ended up working.
You
So
didn't take the whole week off. for
Should have
San Diego.
taken the whole week.
Just
Yep.
take it off
For some
next
reason.
year. You already
Next
got the
time.
dates.
Next time.
Next time.
I think one of my favorite experiences was Wednesday, where we went back and forth between Ricky's car like 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
Dropping stuff off, because luckily I drove down here, and that means I brought everything I could possibly imagine, and that barely fits in any car. And we just kept going back to the hotel, to the car, hotel to the car.
was fun.
I think we got like a few miles in. I completed all my activity circles.
Oh,
And the con didn't even start.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're trying to close those rings on your Fitbit app or whatever it's called,
What is
Just
that
activity
called?
app.
the activity,
app,
app,
yeah.
You can get that done in like half a day at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Lots of walking.
And I got a lot of achievements already. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you guys get any exclusives while you were here so far?
We did, yeah. I would say that we got a lot of Funko figures, fig pins.
You guys got
tigers.
fig pins?
Yeah.
We
Tell
got
us
lucky
about it.
with some lottery action.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this year too.
Mention
I mean,
it.
a lot of years I don't get lucky with some things, and some years I do.
So in depth. I have not done any of that. I like to dress up for Comic-Con. Obviously that my beard doesn't always look like this.
Yeah,
So-
cosplay's fun. I love
The
cosplay. at
cosplays
Comic-Con.
are always fun
It's one of my
for me.
favorite parts, actually. I love that I get super tired on a Saturday that I just sit in the hall before you come in. I just get to watch everybody's costumes and people's reactions to costumes. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's actually my wife and I. We started a little tradition on every Saturday. We go to there's a restaurant right down the street called Tin Fish, and at Tin Fish they have a whole outside bar area where you can just sit there and we just people watch. It's just so fun seeing all the different costumes, all the different people, and you know the stuff that they have and the creativity that you see. And that's one of the biggest things is all the creativity that these people come up with their costumes. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cuddle Team Leader.
Yeah, that was a good cosplay yesterday. It was actually really fun. Yesterday, these two dressed up in Fortnite outfits, and they would go up to like the different Fortnite booths. Like Gentle Giant had a Fortnite booth, and Funko had the Loot Llama, and they would just stand in front of there, and it's almost like people thought they were part of that booth, so they would just keep going up looking for pictures. And once one person does that, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, go up there and take a picture with them real quick." And
But it was
a
weird
lot of fun.
because the majority of them were a bunch of little kids.
Yeah, and they're like,
Yeah, it was like
right?
4 to
It's fun.
10-year-olds who were like, "Oh, Fortnite!"
yeah.
And all the adults were like, "What are you guys
Okay.
doing?"
But we did have one person that was like, "Kid, get out of the way. I'm going to take a picture of me." So that was kind of fun. We had an adult take a picture with them, and she was like, "No, I play Fortnite. I love that." And she's
Those
like,
were all the kids who normally kill us on a regular basis.
Oh
yeah, I know. We should have gotten their handles so we knew who they were.
And then Wednesday we also had, so we lined up for preview night, and it was really cool because we got to go down the escalators and all
Not
of
used
a
to a
sudden-
microphone in front of you yet?
Yeah, it was just like that's an escalator because the escalator broke right about 5 steps from the bottom. All of them just froze solidly, and everyone was just stopped. And
Oh,
people
no.
are
What do you do?
You know, they're
People
rushing.
screamed. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Because they like lurched to a
Yeah.
stop.
I thought I was gonna slide everybody down straight
thought
down.
so
I didn't
too,
know it
yeah.
froze.
Final Destination.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was almost like Final Destination. Yeah, that was a fun moment.
Oh, that just reminds me of a commercial where there's 2 people riding down on an escalator and the escalator stops. They're like, well, what do we do?
I
So
know,
they,
what
so
do
they
we
start
do?
screaming, help,
Help! How do we get down from here?
help, somebody. Yeah, That's one of my favorite commercials. Anyways, well.
I think that's a pretty good San Diego Comic-Con recap.
Yeah, it was.
Can we talk about Tuesday night? We probably can't really talk about Tuesday night.
That's all right.
That's kind of like an inside. Well, we went to a big party on Tuesday night, which was really fun.
Yeah.
So, well, that was actually that Tuesday night party was actually where we actually got to all meet up for the very first time, all in the same as the secondary heroes and seeing each other for the first time, hanging out. So
that's the other thing. There's a lot of parties out here all the time, all week long too, that you can go to. San Diego Comic-Con isn't just inside the con; it's outside the con. You get a lot of parties you can sign up for. There's lotteries for all that kind of stuff too. So keep an eye out.
Yeah. So everybody, thanks for joining.
Yeah. This is our panel. We did it. Should we? So as we do with every podcast, we always end it with a clickbait of the week, and. Our flippers ruining Comic-Con. Here are the top 10 most flipped items at SDCC 2019. That has been your clickbait of the week. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so, giveaway. I think I couldn't come up with a better idea, so I'm going to call on people in the audience. One of our running jokes is that Prague is old. So whoever comes up with the best Prague joke gets a t-shirt. Whoever comes up with the second best, because we're secondary heroes, wins the custom Freddy. And then we have one more shirt. So anybody joke about being old? Okay.
Ooh, that deserves a shirt for sure.
So, all right, what else? What else we got?
I was gonna say, why don't they guess his age?
You can't do that. Guess my
age
age.
is pretty good.
What's that?
Age guess
guess.
is pretty
I
good.
think that'll go a lot quicker than
Yeah.
a joke.
Okay. Who has the closest?
Get that man a shirt. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Ooh. How are we gonna do
could
this?
do that if you want.
How's
We
this
already
gonna
have a
work?
few good
Mike.
jokes, I think, so far. We only got 3 minutes left, so
No other jokes?
anybody?
Oh, we're still doing the joke thing. Oh.
Did what?
Did anyone bring him any insure? No, insure. Yeah, insure.
Oh, insure.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I was waiting for that one. It depends.
Well, it depends.
What is her number?
I think that should we continue on?
If anybody has anything else.
Well, no one guessed my age at all.
Yeah.
39.
There you go.
Ooh.
That was a good one.
But 39 is my age, so it's
39? That's what?
Yeah.
I thought you were older than
I'm
that.
not that old.
I didn't even know how old you are.
80 years old.
know.
I thought he was in his 50s. See how much we know each other?
Right? We did have a hand up back here. Yes, sir.
Oh.
That's true. He knows this.
Dude, that's a good one, too.
No, it's true. Yeah.
How are we going to choose the winner? How are you going to choose?
How much time do you have left? 2 minutes?
Do we have 2 minutes?
Exactly.
You guys think about it.
Who was the best?
One thing I want to throw out is this day in pop culture history is something we like to post on Twitter. And just, it's not really pop culture based, but July 20th, 1969, we landed on the moon. And it's just awesome.
We
day.
landed on the moon!
Wait, we forgot one more thing. Today's a pretty special day. Spoiler. Spoiler. It's actually Trevor's birthday today.
Do we have time to sing it?
To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Trevor. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think the dinosaur one.
Oh.
All right.
Ooh.
That was pretty good. But I think the dinosaur joke was our top winner. Yeah, I think that was probably the
Dinosaur?
first one. Yeah.
It was
Where's
the
the dinosaur
dinosaur
one?
joke.
What was that?
All right, come on up.
Nice.
Let's get you
I'll go to that
Freddy.
side, maybe.
He gets the shirt.
Shirt. I'm sorry,
Sorry.
shirt. I'm really bad at knowing everything. I know, you guys kind of listen, I guess.
What's your name? What's your name? Elizabeth, thank you. Who else was good? Who else was good? I'm thinking that...
No, I think we got one.
Yeah, I think beef squash.
Beef?
Yeah, beefy.
Yeah.
Beefy!
Yeah, the 4 p.m.
As a
dinner
second
time.
place victory,
Yeah,
he's second place?
Second place, secondary
You won
heroes.
second
Always aim
place.
for that second place.
Yeah.
What is that?
We'll bring it out there to you. Who's our third place winner?
I think what you said.
Let's go, what was it?
The
What
first
did I
Comic-Con?
say?
First Comic-Con?
Yeah.
First Comic-Con. Who was first Comic-Con?
There you go.
You get a t-shirt, friend. Thank you guys for coming out. This was really fun. We love you all. Keep listening.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys, for coming out. This is Prague out.
I seriously thought he was in his 40s or something.
I know, dude.